Hello everyone. This lecture is the continuation of the previous one, the second half of the poem How to Tell Wild Animals. So already we have discussed enough about the first three stanzas, and here we go with the fourth one. If when you are walking round your yard, you meet a creature there who hugs you very hard, be sure it is a bear. If you have any doubts, I guess he will give you just one more caress. So if when you are walking around your yard, so in your backyard, maybe just behind your house, when you are going just for a round, walking for a round, you meet a creature there. Accidentally you meet a creature, maybe an animal, who hugs you very hard. So what is the nature of that creature? It hugs you very hard. It hugs you so tightly. Be sure it is a bear. So in the first few stanzas we have seen the beast and the way of its attacking its prey, or the way of its hunting. Here it is quite different. So if that creature hugs you, then it's a great idea to identify the creature is a bear. If you have still any doubts, in it again, still if you are doubtful about its name, I guess he will give you just one more caress. Here caress gives the meaning that hug. One more hug with a lot of affection, with great affection. If someone gives a hug, that is caress. So here the poet says that still if you have doubt, it will give you one more caress or one more hug, so that you can confirm it is a bear. So this is a great way of identifying a bear. So the creature is going to hug you very hard, really hard. Okay. So here the stanza 4 comes to an end, and here we go with the rhyme scheme. Yard, hard, there, bear, guess, caress. So like the other three stanzas, here to the rhyme scheme is A B C C. So the rhyme scheme is A B C C. The same rhyme scheme of the other stanzas. And then here repetition. The word very is repeated twice, and here it is repetition. And then any other sounds? Alliteration. The sound by the consonant sound is repeatedly used, and so it is alliteration. Yeah. So that's it. So next we shall move on to stanza 5. Stanza 5. Though to distinguish beasts of prey, a novice might nonplus. The crocodile you always may tell from the hyena thus. Hyenas come with merry smiles, but if they weep, they are crocodiles. So here, though to distinguish beasts of prey, a novice might nonplus. Sometimes the new person, like when you are new to such a place, to a forest, and you do not know much about the animals, you are very new to such experience. So such sort of persons, generally they might get confused. So first, the meaning of the word novice: someone new to a job. Nonplus is confused. So a novice might nonplus. So someone who is very new, they may get confused to distinguish the beasts of prey. So here anyway all the wild animals are beasts of prey. So for its prey means the food, the animal which is being hunted by the other one is the prey, and who is hunting is the beast. So a novice, that is, as I said, a new person who is unable to distinguish, who is confused and failed to distinguish, to make a difference between these beasts, that is the crocodile you always may tell from the hyena thus. So here, if such sort of person fails to distinguish between the crocodile and a hyena, then what is the easy way of identifying these two? Is that idea is given in the last two lines of the stanza. The poet gives a humorous idea. This, according to him, hyenas come with merry smiles, but if they weep, they are crocodiles. So according to the poet, the sound of the hyenas are like it smiles. So it's from his viewpoint, from the writer's viewpoint, the hyenas sounds are like the merry, happy smiles. Even you might have seen the sounds of hyenas in the National Geographic or Discovery channels. It gives a different sound. It's very unique, and sometimes it may be it is unique in the way it is unpleasant to hear. But anyway, here, according to the poet, it is the merry smiles. So happily, the hyena makes a sound. So if it is like a merry smile, then easily you can identify that the beast is a hyena. But if the creature or if the beast weep, they are crocodiles. So the sound of crocodiles is like weeping for the poet, and so he gives this idea. So what he wants to convey in this stanza is very simple. A novice, that is a new man or a new person who do not know much about the animals or who fails to distinguish between these two beasts, the hyena and the crocodile, then the easy way to identify them is if the creature or if the beast come with merry smiles, then it is hyena, or if that weeps, then it is a crocodile. So these are the two simple ways of identifying these two beasts. One is the hyena and the crocodile, according to the poet Wells, Carolyn Wells. So next, the rhyme scheme. The first one, pray, K, may, A, non plus, thus, B, smiles, crocodiles, C. So again the rhyme scheme is AB, and CC. And then next, any other alliteration is here? Contraction, they are. This is the short form of they are. And then okay, fine. Distinguish, please. Okay, that's it. So next we shall move on to stanza number 6 quickly. The final stanza of the poem. The true chameleon is small, a lizard sort of thing. He hasn't any ears at all, and not a single wing. If there is nothing on the tree, it is the chameleon you see. So here this stanza is about chameleon. So first, be careful about the pronunciation, because people use different pronunciations like chameleon, chameleon. So the correct one is chameleon, chameleon. So the true chameleon is small. So here the characteristics of this creature chameleon is described in this stanza, and the size of it is very small, a lizard sort of thing. So this creature is a lizard type of thing. So you know the lizard, how it is, right? So this the appearance of this chameleon is almost like a lizard. So a lizard sort of thing, a lizard type of creature. He hasn't any ears at all. So he has no ears and not a single wing. So he has no wings to fly. So exactly like a lizard. If there is nothing on the tree, it is. Here it is a contraction. Apostrophe is used, and here it indicates the missing of a letter, and the missing letter is I. So it is the short form of it is. The contraction of it is used here. It is the chameleon you see. So here the appearance of chameleon is described in the first few verses, and finally another character is revealed. It is like if there is nothing on the tree, because chameleon has a unique like unique feature or unique characteristics. It can change its color to the branch of a tree so that we can't see it. Mostly it is deceiving, or like it has its the tendency to deceive others by changing its color often, very often, to escape from its like the predator, to escape from the other animals, or to escape from danger. It can change its color to the branches of the trees so that we can't see it very clearly. So here the poet says it is a small creature, it is a lizard type of creature, and also it has no ears and it has no wings. And then if there is nothing on the tree, if you are unable to see anything on the tree or its branches, then that is the chameleon you see, right? So here he concludes, she concludes the poem by conveying the characteristics of the creature chameleon. So almost the vocabulary is very simple for our understanding. So it is very obvious that the poet like tries to write these verses for the sake of the small kids, because she didn't use any of the different vocabularies here. So she tried to make it more simple for the small kids to learn. And then the rhyme scheme: small, all, sound A, thing, wing, B, tree, C. A, B, C again. Okay, so we have seen almost different like nearly 7 to 8 creatures here, its characteristics and the way of its hunting. First one, Asian lion, and then Bengal tiger, then third, leopard, and then what is that fourth one? I think it is, I don't remember. Anyway, the last one. Let's go from the last. That is from the last. It is a chameleon, and in stanza number 5, 2 creatures were described. Those are hyenas and crocodiles. And the fourth one is what is that fourth one? Yeah, it's a bat. So nearly 7 creatures and its characteristics are described in a funny and humorous way. Here I would like to add up some more useful information to the lecture. So let's quickly see what are those. One is poetic license. So it is a literary term used in the literature side. Poetic license. So what is that license? It gives the concession to the writer or the freedom to the poet to change the diction or to alter the diction according to the convenience of the writer. Sometimes, rarely used in the poems. Here too, in this poetry, the poet has used this right, that is the poetic license, in 2 cases. One is that dying. So the exact word is dying, right? Dying. But anyway, when you pronounce that word, it is going to be dying. If you observe carefully to the native speakers, they won't pronounce this G like in a deeper way. If you are like all the words which ends with ing, if you notice them saying, they won't stress the last letter G, dying. So anyway, with the same pronunciation, but even in her writing also, she has altered the spelling. She has used an apostrophe to bring the rhyme scheme very uniform, right? To make it more rhythmic, or the other reason is she wanted the rhyme scheme to be same for all the stanzas. That is the main reason. So she has altered this, and instead of writing dying, she has used this spelling, D-Y-I-N. And then next, left. Here too, to make it more rhythmic, she has altered the spelling L-E-A-P-T into L-E-P-T. Left. Anyway, the pronunciation remains the same. Left, But anyway, she has altered the spelling for making it more rhythmic and to bring the rhythmic sense into the verses, right? So that is poetic license. And then next, in stanza number 5, I left out this point in the lecture. I missed to convey this point. So just take a look at it. Novice and non-plus. So for these two words, anyway, the first letter is the same. It starts with the same letter N, that is a consonant. So the name of that literary device is alliteration. When two words in the same line begin with the same letter, then we call it as alliteration. Next, in stanza 6 also, two words are used, he hasn't. So for both of these words, the first letter is H, and so here too it is alliteration. And then in the sixth stanza again, these two words are used, single wing. So here the G sound remains the same for these two words, G sound. So when you get the same sounds in the words used in the same line, then we call it as consonants. So when the beginning letter is same, it is going to be alliteration, whereas if it comes in the middle of the word, then we call it as consonants. That is a consonant sound. That here G is a consonant sound. It is being used in two words, so it is consonants. In case if any vowel sounds is used in more than one or two words, then it is called assonance. If a vowel sound is repeated in two words, that is assonance. If a consonant sound is repeated, that is consonants. So these are the differences that you need to understand. So these are the literary devices that I forgot to tell you. So just I have added up here. So thank you for watching this. I hope it is going to be very useful for you.